Um, what's really interesting is when we talk about AI, especially, right? Obviously, it's now common knowledge that, okay, AI will help you increase your productivity in a great way, but it's also known or widely accepted by now that it will replace a lot of jobs, right? So say copywriting, say programming, right? So simple skills that would probably require great churning of data and being able to do that very fast, very quickly. So what are your thoughts? I found it very interesting that your niche was, in fact, using AI to create not just strategy, but also content writing, which goes against what is supposedly common knowledge that, oh no, it's out to kill you and kill your jobs, So share with us that thought process and how you've actually saw an opportunity with it rather than, seeing it replace you per se.
Yeah, and the funny thing was that I started because my client sent me a link of ChatGPT and said you're going to be replaced. So that was actually the baseline and the reason why I started exploring so much, right? Because I think he meant it, of course, in jest, right? But I immediately saw the potential of GPT. And I'm not one to shy away from risk as well as opportunity. So I saw the risk and opportunity immediately when I used version 1 of GPT, right? And that was when I had a choice, right? You either fight the current or you ride the tide and you accelerate your growth together with it, which is also why I actively explored the use of GPT and integrated it into my everyday life. And that isn't easy because it took me hours and hours and hours of work, right? To figure out how everything worked. Because initially there were not a lot of tutorials available. It was new for everyone. So it's almost like experimenting, right? And you figuring out what it can do for you. And as I became more and more advanced, I developed my own frameworks. And this is something that not everybody understands initially when they're using AI. They are always thinking it's just a prompt. But if you take a step back, right, and you combine a prompt with a higher level strategy, you can create beautiful frameworks that can help you to really develop high quality work at such a speed that you can never ever have imagined. So for example, a landing page used to take me about 2 to 3 weeks to produce, right? A high conversion landing page. Right now, I can get it done in about 2 days with the same level of strategy and insights by understanding the client's needs and then creating the right prompt and then refining at the end. So it's not a click and done process. It's still a process, but you get the same quality work done so much faster when you're able to combine both the thinking part of content creation with a swifter AI execution, and finally, of course, reviewing it to make sure that the quality is still there and you're not sacrificing it for quantity.
Very nice. I really like that. I like that, what you're saying is because you're now able to cut speed down and the time to market is a lot quicker, you're able to, in some ways, push the quality aspect and a lot rather redirect your attention and energies towards rethinking and reformulating the strategic insight behind your work, right? Or why should this be done this way, for example, versus that way? That's really very interesting. Would you say that there would be a rise of, in some ways, more strategic marketers who can straddle a few skills versus almost like a generalist who is now empowered with AI, versus say craftsman who's excellent at just one field, say visual illustration, or say just copywriting, for instance. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so actually I have pretty strong opinions about this. I think we need to first divide it because there is always going to be a place for specialists and there is always going to be a place for generalists. It depends on what stage the company is at and who they actually need to execute at the level that they want, right? So for someone who is a specialist, like a creative director who's really good at crafting human stories and narratives, right? What they then do is to use AI to quickly, for example, create mood boards or storyboards to then sell their idea to the client. Or they use AI as part of their brainstorming process. So it may not actually be the end or be all, but it can help in the swift execution of stuff. So that's like one bucket of people, right? People who are really good at their fields and they're just using AI to accelerate the process in which they deliver the final output. Whereas there are also people like me, and I consider myself a generalist who is really good at different things, but we don't dive deep into everything. So for people like us, or people who are, for example, growth marketers, instead of just pure copywriters, what we then do is use AI to do kind of like level 1 work, right? And then you focus on higher level thinking. So for example, I can quickly create a content calendar, social posts, brochures, newsletters in a short amount of time. And then I can think about higher level growth strategies, right? So I'm using my copywriting knowledge. I'm using my knowledge in how do I bring different AI tools together to create TikTok videos that go viral, or I'm using my knowledge in how do I choose the right channels for my brand, and spending time thinking about all those things. Then I get AI to execute in a very swift way, right? So if I'm a generalist, I'm using it to free my time up for higher level thinking, of course, helping me with execution and even getting the final output done. Whereas if I'm a specialist, I'm using AI too, but for different purposes. So I do believe that there will still be a place for both kinds of professionals, right? It's just for a brand, who are they looking for at this point of time who can help them to get that work done and communicate the kind of story they want to tell.
Nice. I really like that. And I'm glad you answered that way, because then that's exactly what we believe as well at Independence. You know, there will always be different skilled talents and different seniority and different skill sets needed for different types of projects and clients' needs. That's really nice.